screenshot on the front of this video. It's somebody who sent me a friend request and a message. I saw the message before I saw the friend request. Well, I saw that there was a message before I saw that there was a friend request. So I clicked the message, and it was, again, somebody to be a creepy stalker towards me. See, that's what happens when you come forward about what you know. People get victimized everywhere they go, and it's not just on the internet, which you guys, that's always the way that you play it, isn't it? I tell you about abuse that I'm enduring in real life. I'm enduring this abuse in real life over things that are on the internet, things from other people. If you want to take one little bit in piece out of this story and try to twist it into something it ain't and say, oh, well, you did that, you know what? That's their take on one little piece. A piece that, if you've looked at the evidence, you're well aware that they literally went out of their way to twist it into something that it ain't. Now, we're going to cite some sources here that are right here on this YouTube channel about why help in person is the only help that matters. Nearly all of these police, nearly all of these agencies, one of the first questions that they ask in their triage is, don't I have any friends or family to do this? There's a reason for that. It's because those are the people who are supposed to help you with it. Without them, you're defenseless. So that gives them an excuse to do nothing. See, in a situation like this, it says, how can it be prevented? I can't prevent it. Especially when I am alone, especially when I can't go to somebody when I'm abused, when I'm assaulted, and have them actually do something. I don't have any friends or family. You're not going to be able to do anything to help me without putting your name on it because you are part of the situation. Which means these folks who don't want their names out here on YouTube, you know, that's going to be tough. Because if you're going to do the right thing, it requires telling the truth. If you tell the truth, I get a new court date. And a lot of these predators get in a shit ton of trouble. If you tell the truth. But you have to actually tell the truth. You have to do it. You have to make the effort. You have to document it. There's different protocols. When I was in Virginia, you can see where I was on my YouTube channel through all this. There's periods of time where I'm in Hardin, Montana. There's periods of time where I'm in Tacoma, Washington. There's periods of time where I'm in Bristol, Virginia. It's recorded, the actual situations, and of course, me talking about the situations as well and their impact. The impact of you not doing anything when your friends come to you because they're being abused and you don't help them to turn it in. It says, what should I do if I think someone is being abused or neglected? Well, you're too busy neglecting me to find out what the hell's even going on. So what the fuck would you know? You're not a friend. A friend wouldn't talk over somebody who is trying to get help because they're being abused. They wouldn't make every excuse that they can. They don't ever get to the details because they're too busy talking over you, telling you how to think and how to feel, because obviously you must be a retard. That's what wallflowers are to you. We're people that you tell all your problems to because nobody's going to believe us. We're the ones that you manipulate with your sob stories, and then you go out drinking with your friends. It says, what should I do if someone is being abused or neglected? It says, if you or someone you know is being abused or neglected, contact Adult Protective Services in the United States, any healthcare provider, the police, an ombudsman. This is a person or service you can contact to discuss neglect or abuse claims in long-term care. It's actually on there. Well, you guys pretend like I'm an idiot who doesn't know what's going on. I asked for the help I needed. The help I needed from the people I needed the help from. Friends and family. I went to them, didn't I? What did I get? Blown off. It's no big thing. None of them cared until I called them out very publicly. And then I'm the asshole. No. I'm not the asshole. I'm not an asshole for telling the truth. You pretend I'm an asshole for telling the truth. You want to hide your shame. You want to hide the shameful things that you've done. That is all on you. I'm not going to hide your shame. People's lives are at stake. I'm not going to accept your selfish bullshit. When my loved ones have had their lives threatened repeatedly since 2016. You know, I get victimized, and I'm not allowed to bring up that my family was victimized. I'm not allowed to bring up that these people were threatening to kill my friends or family. I'm not allowed to take these people to civil court, and I can't turn these people in for the criminal acts that they've committed. Because quite simply, none of these people at the bottom give a shit if none of these people at the top give a shit. If you don't give a shit, these people aren't gonna do their jobs. It's illegal for them not to do their jobs. They know that it's illegal for them not to do their jobs. They thought I was just some garden variety hobo they could walk all over. And they were right, because you let them. I'm being targeted for outright lies. And you, my friends and family, are recorded on my channel and on my Facebook and in our messages. And in many, let me find my keys. Show you my little clandestine recording device. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of audio recordings. I have to go through all these without a place to go through them. I asked for the help that I needed. A safe place and a friend or family member. They've got services that are supposed to help people like us. When we go to Adult Protective Services, any healthcare provider, the police, or an ombudsman, because we don't have a friend or family member, we are supposed to, by law, have a guardian and an advocate. I have literally never had an advocate. I have had several people who pretended to be advocates. Kara Johnson Miles is one of them. She pretended to be an advocate, but she wasn't. She was a web sleuth who was pretending one thing to me and then slandering the shit out of me in these fucking Facebook groups. She wasn't trying to help. She pretended to be, well, in that case, a healthcare provider. She claimed to be an autism advocate. The things that she claimed that she was going to do were supposedly in a professional capacity, and obviously they weren't. Obviously, she pretended to be an adult protective services or a health care provider or a police officer or an ombudsman. She pretended at least one of those. Most of these people pretended to be at least one of those. Or somebody who is supposed to help me turn it into one of those. That's the point of having a guardian. That's the point of having an advocate, is that my voice will not be heard. Anybody can call me mentally ill and my voice is not heard. I don't need to hear about how poor schizophrenics, schizophrenics can't help it and blah, 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 blah. And, we should feel sorry for the schizophrenics. No, that's not the point. The point here is that I'm getting treated like a schizophrenic and I'm not. So why don't you, instead of trying to make excuses for schizophrenic people, instead of saying this is wrong to do to schizophrenic people, how about we focus on the fact that they are doing it to me? If you're going to say it's wrong to do to schizophrenic people, I already know that. I speak up about that all the time. You are going out of your way to talk over me and change the subject at that point. All right, I get it. Your brother's fucking schizophrenic and he gets victimized. I get it. Do you speak up for your brother? Yes, you do. When I'm telling you that I'm being schizophrenic, and you want to automatically assume that I'm downing on your brother, that's what it equates for you emotionally. And because that's what it equates to you emotionally, that's right where your head goes. Your brother who is schizophrenic, and you'll talk about your brother who is schizophrenic. The issue here isn't your schizophrenic brother, it's the treatment itself. And the way you're typing at me, you're showing that you're assuming I think it's okay to do that to a schizophrenic person. I didn't tell you it was okay to do it to a schizophrenic person. I told you it's wrong to treat someone that way. I told you people are treating me that way and it's wrong. You're saying that it's wrong, but you're assuming that I am saying literally the opposite of what I am. You're assuming that that is a fucking attack against your brother or an attack against schizophrenic people. With your brother who is schizophrenic, you know how he gets treated. You know that it's fucking wrong to treat him that way. So when someone else is telling you, hey, it's wrong to treat somebody like they're fucking schizophrenic, you gotta have your rebuttal. You gotta have your 2 cents. You gotta make it about you and your brother. It's not about you and your brother. Yes, you are a part of it. It wasn't my lack of efforts, it was lack of give a shit from everyone else. It's not that I was lying. I mean, our messages show that I told the truth every step of the way. My messages show that I reached out to everybody that I possibly could and was blown off by all of them because I always had to go in alone. No guardian, no advocate, no friends or family. When I say I have relatives that don't give a shit and that my friends aren't going to help, that's not me copping out and just assuming they won't help and not making any effort. As you can see, I've made plenty of fucking effort over the years. When a male is being abused, this is seriously how it is. People blow you off until people are dead. And then all these people that blew you off are witnesses to the fact that you were trying to get help. They want to keep their names out of it because they don't want people to know that they fucked up. Like, hey, you wouldn't have fucked up if you'd have listened. You wouldn't have fucked up if you'd have tried doing some family or friend shit instead of telling me how to think and feel like a bunch of fucking cunts. You got people killed, dumbass. Look how much you have pretended to give a shit about me. With nobody giving a fuck, no matter how hard I tried. I was gonna end up dead or Natalie was gonna end up dead. That wasn't my choice or Natalie's. That was all of you fucking idiots ignoring the situation while a bunch of fucking druggies and fucking child molesters manipulated the shit out of her and me. And none of you gave a fuck. And now you want to hide your names. These people will not do their jobs unless these people are involved. See? For prevention of this abuse. And yes, I know they gave me the wrong paperwork at the hospital. You know what that's called? It's called negligence. This is the reason. This is intentional. They fuck up all the time with homeless people. All the time. It is negligence. They give you the wrong paperwork. It actually has the wrong instructions on it. But they can't give me the ones with the right instructions because anybody who looks at that is going to realize, well, holy shit, that's not going to work. He has called those people. They say that's not what they do. This is literally the instructions, according to the state of Oregon, that you're supposed to follow in the state of Oregon. Well, Sean did that. They told him that it's not their job to investigate any of this shit. So why the fuck are you making an abused and at-risk adult turn crimes into somebody who's not going to do anything? These places are supposed to advocate. How can they advocate if they never look? If they go out of their way to set it up to be a situation where they aren't helping? Where it's last-minute shit? Where they're going out of their way to not keep appointments? Like, I set up the appointment. I follow through with my end of the bargain. I get somebody to sit there with me because you're going to call me back in the afternoon. You professional services. And then I will have the evidence in front of me. So when you ask me the questions, I can simply look it up on my computer. I've spent the money to sit there. I've spent the time to sit there. I've gotten someone to sit there with me. Never mind what it cost me to have somebody spend that time. Never mind what it cost me and them throwing it in my face later on that they spent that time. Apparently it's my fault that these professional services did not call when I was able to have that information in front of me and have access to it. They're too busy telling me that nothing is a crime to hear what's going on. They're too busy looking for excuses not to do their jobs. And they make sure that they don't call me back when they say they will. If they call back on a proper scheduling, then it means that I can be prepared to have that video call and have that video meeting with them instead of having to do it by myself in a vehicle like this. I spent the time, I spent the resources. The problem is having to do it alone, having to make these calls alone, to set up an appointment so that I can actually talk to them with a friend or family member. The number one thing here, friend or family member, through all of this, literally every single one of my friends and family members has shown me that they don't give a shit. They are after wasting my time, wasting my resources, and fucking pretending. I'm being abused because they fucked up. They assumed. Yes, I know Natalie's killer was fucking found. See, that's the biggest thing that these fucking morons want to throw in my face. Like, I fucking know that didn't stop the abuse, you fucking twat! Telling me that 4,000 fucking times does not address the fucking abuse, you fucking stupid cunt! Then we got these snowflakes who are offended by cursing. Oh, poor you, you're offended by cursing, while I am offended by the fact that you want to bitch about social issues and not do a goddamn thing in real life about it. You want to bitch in general that it's wrong, but when it happens to somebody that you know, who you supposedly love and care about, you don't give two shits. You're too busy partying with your friends and pretending to be this person who fights for social justice. Sometimes you bitch on your Facebook to the peanut gallery. Where were you when I was marching with BLM? Where were you? Where were you while I was sticking up for Colin Kaepernick? Where were you? Where were you when I went up to rescue Miss Jamie and her son? Where were you when I sent you the pictures of the owl? Those of you who were friends on my Facebook in August, September of 2016, that's right before I went to Virginia. Matter of fact, I was already on my way to Virginia, and I turned around and went back because Jamie got a hold of me and let me know she needed a hero. What she needed is my help and Todd Rust's help moving her out of James Payton's house. That's what she needed help with. She also needed Trevor's help and Clyde McNitt's help because she needed help paying the first month's, last month's, and deposit. She also needed a signature. So, altogether, there's actually a lot more males than that helped her out. There was easily 8 to 10 males who helped her out. Easily. Well, even more than that if you consider the 4 guys from work that came to help her move part of the day. There was a lot of people involved in helping her. Her boss helped her out financially and helped her out by allowing some of the workers to take part of the day off to help her. Jamie got a lot of help, but she's a pretty female. She also has the added benefit of being a single mother, sort of. See, financially, she is supported by a lot of men, and that helps to financially support her son as well as her wants. And that's pretty important to know as well. I understand why these people want their names out of it. Their embarrassment, their pride. The problem is that if they're not willing to admit that I went to them for help, they're only willing to help me if they can hide the important parts. See, the important parts here is that I did try to get help. These are specifically the people I went to for help, matter of fact. My friends and family, and I specifically let them know that I needed this help here. And they wanted to argue that's not what works, it doesn't matter, so on and so forth. No, it does matter. It does matter. What also matters is that between admitting that you fucked up and letting me be victimized for it, you still won't admit that you fucked up and you still want to hide your name. No. It's not my fault that you didn't help. It's not my fault that you didn't keep your word. It's not my fault that every time that I came to you for help, you wanted to ammo dump all of your issues on me. There's a reason I said ammo dump. You guys gave me a lot of ammunition. I'm a wallflower. You got all these excuses why you can't. It's all on you. You decide. It is your decision whether or not you do that friend shit. If you want to use the title, but you ain't gonna do none of that friend shit, you need to drop the title. Penny Cooper was supposed to do the job of an advocate, but she didn't. She is one of those ones who is paid in a professional capacity, as opposed to the web sleuth lady that I had to speak with, Kara Johnson Miles, who is also supposedly an autism advocate and supposedly going to help me in court, and also supposedly a friend of one of Natalie's ex-stepmoms who is in contact with me, and all of these people wanted to hide it. They wanted to hide it so later on they could play victim. That's the reality of the situation. They wanted to be able to pretend like I was a crazy liar so that nobody would look at any evidence in court, not even my public pretenders. And because not one of my friends ever attempted to make even a single phone call, not even one, to any of my public pretenders. None of them even tried. And that right there is the excuse that the police used for not doing their jobs to begin with. I wasn't trying to get help, and nobody would help me. Probably because of the way that I act. No, the way that I was acting is because nobody was helping me and I was being abused. I needed help stopping the abuse. I had to get angry and scream and curse because when I speak nicely, you blow me off. It's like the sound of my voice puts you to sleep. I didn't have anyone to trust to be my power of attorney, but I did ask people to be my power of attorney. If people told me they were going to do something but didn't keep their word, well, they definitely were not going to be somebody who could be my power of attorney. If they can't even tell the truth, how are they going to be my power of attorney? It says remain active, avoid isolation. My predators have succeeded in repeatedly isolating me from my loved ones, from my support network. And instead of my support network trying to understand that, they treat me like shit. As if I chose it. Isn't that always your excuse? Your victim chose it. And that is victimization. To pretend to be somebody's friend. That is the most horrible thing that you can do. Especially to somebody that is at the end of their ropes. When somebody is called mentally ill, we get casually blown off about our abuse. All of us do. Unless we have a friend or family member who actually cares. A friend or family member that when they see the bruises, they call it in. They don't make you beg. They don't tell you they'll help you turn it in next time and you just need to forget about it. The past is the past. You just need to man up. And then it happens again and they tell you you just need to forget about it. You need to just man up. Everybody's got problems, Sean. Everybody's got problems. That's right. That's right. Everyone's got problems. And unfortunately, your problems became my problems. When the police said that I wasn't trying to get help, that was an outright lie. And every one of you who I went to for help could have come forward and said that instead of me, of course, having to post it on YouTube and Facebook. Having to record conversations with you about things that you should have come forward about at the very beginning. Because somebody was dead, and because you didn't come forward about it, I'm not sure if you understand how every one of my friends that I went to for help before Natalie was killed, how they committed felonies afterwards by not coming forward. Beforehand, they've got plenty of excuse in the Colorado, unless they're, of course, a member of the clergy or a hospital worker. That's any hospital worker, just so you know. State of Colorado, it's even required for the janitor. If you've got a patient in a hospital and the janitor's in there cleaning the room and that person says, hey, the nurse there, she keeps touching my genitalia inappropriately. I don't have a catheter or anything down there. She just keeps trying to touch it to see if it arouses me, and I don't like it. I'm not comfortable with it. He has to turn it in. He doesn't have a choice because he works at a healthcare facility. But they're going to run with their bias too, aren't they? You're going to believe that your doctor wouldn't screw up. He's got the power of God in his hands. You work for this doctor. He's nice to you. He pays your paycheck. By law, just because you're a nurse who's under his employ, doesn't give you an excuse. If one of the patients says, hey, the doctor comes in here and he gives me those medications, he puts them in my IV, and then he thinks I'm asleep. Well, all it does is paralyze me. I can't move. I can't say nothing. And he gets on top of me and he rapes me. It's not consensual sex. I need help. I need to turn him in for this. Now, even though she doesn't want to lose her job, and that's the excuse that I keep getting out of these health workers, they don't want to lose their jobs. Now, what happens? What happens if she doesn't do her job as a mandated reporter because she doesn't want to lose her job? She doesn't turn in her boss. That patient tries to turn it in and is sent to a mental hospital, injected with drugs that may or may not hurt the baby. That's right. Now, there's a baby involved, and there's DNA involved, and we can prove it's the doctor. And this lady has been screaming at the top of her lungs for over 9 months, hey, I was raped by the fucking doctor. I told this nurse, and I told the janitor there, I told the radiologist there, I told everyone there, and none of them listened, and I spoke out. For 9 months, being victimized, being sent to a mental hospital because I spoke out about this doctor raping me. Well, guess what? He was a stupid doctor. He didn't use a condom. He left a deposit. And here's the kid that's half his. That reflects badly on the facility. It reflects badly on the police officers. It reflects badly on everybody that they told who didn't do a goddamn thing. It reflects very badly on all of them. Why is it that my friends want to keep their name out of it? Because this situation and their cowardice, the fact that they let this happen, shows them in a very bad light. I don't have to paint them that way. That's the way they are. I don't have to paint present them in a certain light by only posting up little bits and pieces of their conversations with me. It takes a lot of time to post something up in its entirety. But you also get to hear all of the words said. You get to hear the actual context, not the little bits and pieces that you want to cut out and slather and paste. If you take everything I say, pick out the parts that you like, reassemble the words to mean what you want them to mean. Really, is that how the law is supposed to work? Is this what we call justice? Is this what we call equality? A lot of people want to backtrack because they fucked up. You don't get to hide your name. It's already out there. The things you did, you already did. Own up to it, all right? You want to tell me to own up to my shit? A bunch of people who haven't paid any attention to the fact that I absolutely have. I do own up to my shit. I'm the only one that does. See, the thing that people really should have paid attention to is that I was so desperate. Now, mind you, I'm not one of those people who actually believes anybody cares about my sins. Certainly they do, actually. But I felt that with the severe amount of shit that I was about to go through, that I needed to admit to all of my sins on Facebook. Live. That's right. I admitted to all of my worst sins. Live on Facebook. On video. For the whole world to see. Now that's not like I was literally broadcasting it, expecting millions of people to take a look. And they didn't. There weren't millions of people who took a look at that. There are millions of people who are listening to people's opinion on it who haven't looked at any evidence, or that take my predator's word for it and assume that I must be a liar because none of my friends, when I was being treated like I was schizophrenic, none of these people who know me ever spoke up. Not a fucking one of them. To this day, none of them have spoken up in public. The only reason that I've got evidence in public is because I fucking recorded it. I did what we're supposed to do. I did what the paperwork said to do. Keep notes of the conversations. Shit, homie. I kept the goddamn conversation itself. Ain't no notes necessary. Notes are flawed. You're gonna give yourself the Cliff Notes. The recording itself is of the actual conversation. If you write notes of the conversation, and I play the conversation, you will quickly find that your notes are inadequate. There's a lot of stuff that I do go back through, and I try to listen to my videos, so if there's something wrong, I can admit to it. Just yesterday, I was listening to one of the videos where I said something about Miss Peaches. About the situation at Miss Peaches' house where there was Joshua Eichelberger yelling at a couple of 3-year-olds that they're cunts. That wasn't at Miss Peaches' house. That was at Tabitha Michelle Cook's house. So did I lie? Not intentionally. Did I correct it? Well, that's what I'm doing now. Fessing up to my mistakes. Fessing up to them immediately when it makes a difference. Putting my name out there and admitting that I am a flawed human being, descendant of flawed human beings, surrounded by flawed human beings. None of us are perfect. A lot of you, your excuse, literally your excuse for not coming forward is that you're not perfect. Would you tell your sister that if it happened to her or your brother? I did try to turn it in right away. When I tried to turn it in right away, it didn't work because I had to do it alone. There's also like For example, my grandmother's funeral, when I was trying to turn in Ted Bollinger and his daughter Alicia Bollinger for the head games that they were pulling at my grandma's funeral. They pulled that shit when Natalie died. They pulled that shit before she died. They pulled that shit at my grandma's funeral, and they have kept it up. Then they won. They got what they wanted handed to them because none of my friends gave a shit. They showed through the entirety of this that they don't give a shit. Complete and total strangers in other countries care more than any one of my friends ever did, even to this day. The predators who keep targeting me because these web sleuth groups are selling a false narrative. And not one of the people who know that it's a false narrative have made any effort whatsoever to actually come forward about it. Not to the public, not to the police. I mean, what the hell? The only reason that the lady that I posted the screenshots with day before yesterday, the only reason that there's evidence of her telling me the things that she told me is because I posted it. It's not because she came forward. It's not because she was a good, honest, and righteous person who told the truth immediately because it mattered. It's not because she was a friend who did it right away. When I tell people the help that I need is to contact these folks, I keep getting told by people who went in alone every time that it doesn't work. I know it doesn't work if you go in alone. They want to argue, well, it doesn't matter. They're going to turn you down anyway. Have you tried going in with someone else? Well, no. Why haven't you? You know statistically that you're going to get turned down if you go in alone, even if you're a female. This is a very high likelihood. If you're a female who is homeless with children, you're fucked. Because they're going to take away your kids and pretend you're on drugs, and that's as simple as it is. They don't care that you had a husband, you thought you was in love with him, you found out he was fucking your kids, and now you can't pay the mortgage. So him fucking your daughters ended up fucking over you and your daughters and your, of course, health care and your credit, and now they're in the system, possibly getting molested by somebody else. I remember some good foster homes. Most of them weren't. Not all of them were evil. I wasn't molested at every foster home, not even close. I wasn't raped at every foster home, not even close. But I also moved to a lot of different foster homes. Now, between looking up what the temporary foster care system was in Colorado in the 1980s and 90s when I was in the system, you guys just assume that I must be a liar. You just assume. I was in the temporary foster care system for about 2.5 years overall. In the temporary foster care system, you do not get a long-term home. In the temporary foster care system, this is when one of your parents is about to complete a program, usually for rehab and housing. And as soon as they get that, as soon as they're able to complete that, they can have their kids back. Well, imagine that they kept on trying to let my mom have us back for 2.5 years. She just simply couldn't keep her shit straight. 2.5 years. Now, I could have gone to a long-term placement, a long-term family, but there's attachment issues, and if there's a possibility of sending you back to the parents, that's what they'd prefer to do. They would prefer that you didn't get attached. So in the temporary foster care system, it's 2 weeks per foster home. You don't get to go to the same foster home twice, no exceptions. If they run out of foster homes to put you in, They put you in a group home. Those places are not good. You got a lot of predators who seek positions of power. We got a lot of pedophiles who try to get jobs in children's homes. But you don't want to hear that. You want to look away from it and pretend it isn't happening. It makes you feel better to pretend it's not happening because it's not happening to you. And then when it does happen to you, you're mortified. You're scared shitless. You can't believe that people would treat you that way. You're the victim. Why won't anybody listen to me? It's because you're fucking homeless. It's karma, stupid. You didn't listen to the homeless when they tried to tell you. You didn't have time. You had your Louis Vuitton bags. You had your education and your family gatherings, and now here you are. You told on the predator of the family, and everybody in your family throws you away. Imagine what that's like for Brittany Richmond. She tells on Mark Richmond because he's a sick, perverted fuck. You don't do that shit to your own daughter, Mark Richmond. You don't do that shit to your own daughter, Michael Allen Albert. You don't do that shit to your own daughter, Ted Bollinger. You don't do that shit to your own daughter, Andrew Witcher. Many little girls who are raped or molested by their fathers have to do something called, some of you might know this, we got to normalize. We have to normalize with our predators. We have to pretend that it's not happening. We have to pretend that it's okay. Now, many of us who have been through abuse, we know what the moonlighting is. That's where they are trying to be friendly and hoping that they can coax you into doing things you don't want to do. They're really your friend. They like you a lot. They are really your friend. Anything that they're doing to you, they hope that you like. You've also got the honeymoon period. This is after your abuser has done something wrong. And they're hoping if they're really super extra nice, really super extra nice, hopefully you won't tell. If they're really super extra nice, hopefully you'll forget about it until they get an opportunity to do it again. It's after you've tried to tell them, like Andrew Witcher. Can you imagine how nice he probably was to his daughter after she told on him? The worst part is that her mother, Amy Witcher, in her own words, from her own phone number, from her own phone, about her daughter telling her that Andrew was molesting her, and instead of doing what it is that a mother should do, instead of doing what Nebraska law requires every single citizen to do, she helped Andrew to get away with it. Andrew was bringing her cocaine, by her own words, and Andrew was on meth, by her own words. She also said that her ex-husband also molested the kids. But when she decided that she was getting rid of Andrew, she was having her ex-husband babysit the kids. So now she's got a known sex offender who molested her kids that she's asking to watch her kids. The evidence shows that she wanted me to watch her kids, that she needed help because there was a lot of abuse going on, and she couldn't turn in Andrew because she didn't have a safe place. I tried to get her a safe place. The lady who I tried to get a hold of and explain that without a safe place, she can't turn him in. Without a safe place, she's screwed. The only reason that Amy Witcher and her kids have a roof over their head is because of my mother and because of Jeffrey Witcher. That is Andrew Witcher's dad. If Amy Witcher had left Andrew because he's a sicko child molester fuck who thinks that raping his wife is okay because he's messed out of his gourd and she owes it to him because they're married, no, it's literally rape. Doing that to your own daughter is just as disgusting. And then when you, as the victim, have to normalize because nobody believes you, nobody will listen, or because mom just isn't willing to believe such a thing, or because mom doesn't want to get in trouble. Now that's the thing right here. The messages between Amy Witcher and I show that she was afraid of getting in trouble. She was afraid that she would get in trouble. That she would get her kids taken away. And why? She explained that she had already been charged with child abuse. So the reason she didn't come forward or tell the truth, the reason that she tried to play victim, is pretty goddamn obvious. We've got motive and we've got intent. She helped a child molester, multiple child molesters, get away with it because she was lonely and because she didn't want to get in trouble. She didn't want to get in trouble. Like the majority of the people that I went to for help, and I asked them to be honest. They were afraid of being honest because they didn't want to get in trouble. They were afraid if they were honest, they were going to lose their jobs. They was afraid that if they did any friend shit or family shit, they were going to lose their fucking jobs. In the instructions, they say right away, right away. Now this is from 11/19/2022, and I still don't have a friend or family member turning this in with me. I still don't have a family member or a friend to help me with this. I've got the hopes. I've got words from somebody who doesn't want me to use her name in my videos. But I can't hide my efforts, or my predators pretend that I didn't make them. There's also a lot of different crimes. People expect me to have everything all set up and ready and prepared. No, there is too much to go through. As soon as I get started on something, when you say, well, I will help with this part. Like say, well, Sean, I can only help with turning in the assaults against you here in Colorado. That's all I'm able to help you with. That's when I go through and I find the stuff from Colorado, the stuff that needs to be sent to you. And I spend all of the money and all of the time that it takes to do that. And if I don't have the time or the money to do it, I've probably got the time. I probably do have the time. But I can't double date here. If you tell me that you're going to help me on Tuesday, and I've got somebody who's going to help me on Wednesday, and I've got someone else who's going to help me on Thursday, you're a no-call, no-show on Monday. They're a no-call, no-show on Tuesday. The person on Wednesday is nice enough to call me up and reschedule for Friday. So then Friday, that person shows up, and yay, now I have help, and we can work on it because I have a helper. But then, of course, it's Friday, and everybody's like, well, I'm off of work. I brush this off long enough. I should get a hold of Sean, or I should go visit Sean, like when Claire showed up. You know, that just becomes overwhelming because there's multiple different issues here, and one of them is more familiar with one set of issues, and another one is more familiar with the others. And they start chatting it up like a couple of chatty Cathys, and literally I'm sitting there going, this is not helping me at all. This is zero help for me whatsoever. Or they say, oh, well, I made the time, you just didn't show up. Well, excuse me, I did make the time. You didn't. I did show up. You didn't. Then, while you tell me after 6 years, oh, well, you just expect me to drop everything. No, I've been fucking infinitely patient. Infinitely patient. In 6 years, you could have spoken up and admitted to one simple thing. Did I go to you for help? Yes or no? If you admit the truth, yes, I went to you for help. That right there is enough for every single one of my court dates to be overturned. You admitting that I'm not schizophrenic and you have known me long enough is enough to get this stuff overturned, but I need help turning these things in. You notice Marcia Estrada said I'm not schizophrenic. But still, how much effort did she make to turn that in? 0. See, it is their jobs, but you have to coax them to do their jobs. They won't do their jobs without a friend or family member. And of course, how the hell are you supposed to help me when you won't even admit that you were involved in the parts you were involved in? See, here's the thing. The cops didn't just slander me. They slandered every person who did anything to try to help me. Now, they never did any of this shit. They never did any of the stuff that I asked them specifically for help doing this. Everything else was just a temporary Band-Aid. If you give me a sandwich when I come to you because you're a friend or family member to do some of this friend or family shit here, and you give me a sandwich and you want to throw that sandwich in my face for the next 6 years, you're a special kind of go fuck yourself. My predators were very loud and proud about what they did. They were very vocal about what they did. Their slander, they were very vocal about. The things that they intentionally took out of context and the things that they intentionally left out of court, they don't matter unless you care. You only care about you. Your problems, your problems, your problems. Well, let's work together on our problems. But how can we work together on our problems when it's always doing what you want and doing things for you? You've got your private time for doing your stuff for you. And then we have our time together where we end up just focusing on you. So literally, it's all about you. You're making it all about you. When people tell me about their problems, I offer to do friend shit. Friend shit. When you tell me about your fucking problems, this is what I do. This right here, because this does work. Believe it or not, this does actually work. Believe it or not, these here actually do work. That's right. These criminals in these places who don't want to do their jobs, they are all criminals. Every single CPS worker and every single officer has to triage out. What that means is that they're breaking the law for somebody who is at risk, because they're not as likely to be able to help somebody who is at risk. They don't have friends or family who fucking care. Sure, you could have 50 people who saw you get beaten up by some black kids who called you a honky the whole time. These are all people that know you. These are all people that know that you didn't use the N-word. These are all people that, if you explain to them, I don't know those kids, all right? I look like a homeless person, and a lot of college kids go bum bashing. They're definitely dressed like college kids. They're definitely college age. There's probably a good chance they was just out here beating me up because they wanted to do some bum bashing. Now, your friends, you would think that instead of arguing with you and going, well, you know, people don't just go beat you up for nothing. Really? They don't? That is literally what bum bashing is. You're going and finding a homeless person nobody cares about, and you're beating the fuck out of them because nobody fucking cares. It's specifically just because you can get away with it. College kids going, hey man, it's fucking Friday night, let's go bum bashing. Are you fucking kidding me? When people say they're not willing to even try these things with someone there in person to go in with them, that's completely screwed. When we have to go in alone, it's their word versus ours, and they automatically win. Now you get to hear about these officers who refuse to look at evidence, and they won't do anything about the predator because they say it's that predator's word versus mine. No, it's not. My evidence is fucking public, as much of it as I can make public. It is absolutely not their word versus mine. There are many, many witnesses to the situation, recorded in their own voices, conversations with them that verify these people were aware. When did they come forward about it? They still haven't. Sure, they spoke with me about it. Sure, it's on my YouTube. But have they made any effort to go in with me to turn it in? Or phone calls. You don't make any effort to make the phone calls with me. So then it's an argument over what was actually said during the phone call. And we wouldn't be arguing if you were a part of the call to begin with. But you weren't. Instead, you're arguing with me as if I am too retarded to know what was said. Meanwhile, you guys are too retarded, apparently, to understand or comprehend the English language. You have to grossly reinterpret things that I type to you in order to make me out to be the bad guy. Holy hell. There's a big difference between being victimized and playing victim. In person makes all the difference in the world. My predators preyed on the idea that I was somehow making everything up and that none of these people existed, even with overwhelming evidence on the internet. Who's helping to turn it in? I went to Adult Protective Services. They refused to look at it. Took it to Nebraska State Patrol. They refused to look at it. Took it to Dual County Sheriff's Department. They refused to look at it. I mean, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I go to Polly Olson at the courthouse there. I go to Jody, whatever the fuck her name is. I go to Leslie Snell. I went to all the people in that courthouse I was supposed to talk to. I went to all the people that I was sent to. As far as the county clerk goes, some of the records that I needed, Polly Olson was supposed to have, but I never got that far because she was too busy telling me that she doesn't have anything to do with the courts anymore. Well, she's got a lot to do with the courts now, don't she? After all them years in the courts and all those years as a county clerk, what'd she get busted for? Exactly what I told you she was doing to begin with. Spending your taxpayer dollars. I told you these things were happening. I told you the predators' names, in specific their names and their motivations and their excuses. And of course, you don't want to look, you don't want to listen. It's your fault that Polly Olson was able to get away and to do this to others. It's your fault that Waylon Lolotite was able to get away and do this to others. It is your fault that Ted Bollinger was able to get away and do this to others. It is your fault that Tim Beeson was able to get away and do this to others. It is your fault that Troy Bollinger got away to do these things to others. It is your fault that Kara Johnson Miles got away to do these things to others because you did not care to listen to the victim. Everything in your life was more important than someone who is supposedly your friend. I shouldn't have to blackmail my friends into telling the truth. How do I blackmail them into telling the truth? I'd say you got two choices. Either you help me to turn in your words, or I will put your words up in public for God and everyone to see. You tell the truth or I will. You will not admit where you fucked up. But I always do. I always try to correct it immediately when at all possible. We never stopped a problem by looking away from it. We're on a sinking ship. You know what happens if you got a 30-foot hole and you put a 2-inch Band-Aid over it? Not a goddamn thing. Your boat is not going to float, it's still going to sink. The problem is we're all on the same fucking boat. My fate and your fate are intertwined. Natalie's fate and your fate are intertwined. Because the things that you allowed to happen to her and the things that you allowed to happen to me set a legal precedence. That's right, folks. Multiple legal precedents were set with my cases. Multiple legal precedents that can be used against all of you to deprive you of your legal rights, of your human rights, of your First Amendment rights and your Second Amendment rights. I've been told that my situation has already been brought up in Colorado in 2 different sets of case law for them to railroad disabled people who are victimized. That seems pretty significant, but then again, I don't know the validity of it. I'd have to go ask somebody from the Department of Records, apparently. With these professionals who are supposed to know their jobs, they're supposed to know these things. For them to repeatedly send me on to the wrong place, knowing that it's the wrong place. Well, why would they send me to the right place, knowing I'm trying to turn them in? Knowing that they had done wrong, knowing that they could have done something about it and didn't. For them, it's just a matter of fucking pride. Their pride is hurt. They don't want people to know that they're imperfect, or that they didn't pay any fucking attention to somebody they claimed was their friend, somebody who had never harmed them and never wronged them, and now people are dead. You don't get to keep your name a secret. Here's the thing, there's a lady who doesn't want me to bring her name up, and that's fine. But I don't get to hide the situations. People want to pretend that because I spoke up, that's the reason that I'm victimized and that I deserve it, and it wouldn't have happened if I'd have never spoken up. Are you out of your fucking mind? No, the only reason that it continued is because you guys never spoke up. Me speaking up has been my saving grace, and will continue to be my saving grace. The fact that I tried to tell you before Clearview did that shit to many other people. I tried to tell you before Waylon Lolatai did it to many more people. I tried to tell you before Demetrius Shankling was killed. I tried to tell you before Natalie Bollinger was killed. I tried telling you. You not listening is not my fault. You telling me that I didn't say this or I didn't say that. And what do? I go back through our conversations, I take screenshots and I post them publicly. Don't lie to me. If you're going to tell me it's not a lie, you just don't remember saying it, well, go ahead and say that. You're allowed to defend yourself. But if you're not going to hear what I have to say, I'm not going to hear what you have to say. We had a private conversation. It doesn't get to be private. Because you didn't hear a goddamn thing I said. When you come on here wanting to be an asshole, well, I'll do the same thing to you that you did to me. I will block your ass. That's fairness. That's equality. If I'm not worth listening to, neither are you. You know what the worst part is in all of this? I thought all of those people were worth listening to. I thought, hell, these are people who are witnesses. They said that they'll help. They said they'll come forward. I thought, for once in my life, instead of getting blown off, these people might actually come forward and tell the truth because they said that they would. They're nice enough people, but none of them are actually good people. A good person would rather lose their job than see an innocent person dead, especially if that person is somebody they claim to care about. A good person would listen to the victim instead of arguing. A good person, instead of pretending that they know the laws better than anybody else, after telling me they can't help because they're not lawyers, you're a witness. You don't have to be a fucking lawyer to be a witness, dummy. Family shit, friend shit. Is that the shit you're doing? Meanwhile, when there were kids being abused, when Amy Witcher let me know about Andrew Witcher molesting her daughter, I did what was legally required, as well as attempting to get her a safe place first. Unfortunately, the lady that I reached out to try to help get a safe place wanted to jump the gun and turn in the abuse first. Well, that's not something that Amy could have. See, here's the thing is, if she doesn't have at least something going for her to have a safe place and a roof over her head for her and her kids go into the system, she gets charged with child abuse, child neglect, and endangerment, which is exactly what she did. Now, it's also a thing where Officer Scott DaCosta was trying to intimidate Dallas Richmond with the same thing. Oh, you have your children around dangerous people. Well, I got a question for you. Who in the Richmond family that is around those children, are there any of them who are registered sex offenders? Yes, there are. There's also pictures of those children on his lap on multiple profiles from the Richmond family. Who is it in the female who spoke up about it, spoke up about what Mark Richmond did to her, is ostracized by the entire family. Meanwhile, even though there are portions of the family that absolutely hate Mark, they'll be peaceful with him. If families put as much effort into turning in the predators as they do trying to hide the fact that there's one in the family, we'd live in a much better world. If people like my mom helped turn in people like my little brother, Michael Allen Albert, then Michael Allen Albert's daughter wouldn't have to be afraid of that happening again. She wouldn't have to be afraid of the moonlighting. When the father tells the mother that, oh no, she's just lying, that's gaslighting. When people do you wrong and call you a liar, that's gaslighting. When who you listen to or believe is dependent upon gender or upon money, you're judging based on bias. And what's your bias against homeless people? There are a lot of people who I went to for help who want to tell me how homeless people are. They admit that I'm not like that, but they tell me how homeless people are as their excuse not to come forward about a specific situation. They generalize that homeless people are this. Well, we're talking about me in specific, asshole. Am I that guy? No, you're playing on bias while you're showing the bias and showing that you understand the bias. You're showing that that bias exists and that you know that it exists, and yet you're letting me be treated like I am schizophrenic and delusional over it, over saying it. When you tell me that you can't help me this weekend because you got to go to your grandma's funeral, and the cops say that I didn't try to get help and nobody would help me, well, you had a valid excuse there. You were at your grandma's funeral. Now, after 6 years, were you at your grandma's funeral the whole time? No. I gotta pee, so I gotta go. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Get in trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.